About the timing, and it's about creating those moments, and I don't always get it right.
Hello everyone, welcome to another interview, and today I have Alec Schultz. Wait, did I pronounce that correctly?
It's close. Schultz.
Schultz.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think this is like a thing that I do every interview. You know what? I mess up people's names, but that's fine. That's my thing. That's what people know me as. Okay, so Alec Schultz.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, perfect. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So I also want to thank Paul, who's filming the other angle. There we go.
Where's Paul?
The other angle.
Introducing this, the other
As you probably all know, Paul is a regular on the interview, but anyway, enough of Paul. Today we're going to talk about Alec and his wonderful timing in magic. So how did you get into magic?
I just remember seeing a magician when I was really young. Got my parents to take me to a magic shop.
Okay.
Traditional story. I saw Blackstone Jr. float the light bulb out over the audience when I was really young.
Wow.
Got a little magic kit, the Blackstone magic kit. I still have the Blackstone cards from like a few of them. It's not a complete pack, but I've got for how old am I? It's 35 years or something. I have those things. And then my next door neighbor, he told me about this new guy. This is back in the 80s. He's going to do the Statue of Liberty, right? Okay.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm a Harry Blackstone guy. I'm like 7 years old or something like that. I'm a Harry Blackstone guy. And I thought this newfangled Copperfield stuff was just, for the birds. But I became quickly a Copperfield fan, and then sort of imitated that style and really philosophy of magic, what it is. All through my teens. Met up with a friend of mine in a church where I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'll tell you a funny story about that if you want later.
Okay.
But we put together a duo act and sort of also developed our certain style, and there was a lot of things going on in comedy back in that time with Saturday Night Live, and trying to different approaches to comedy and theater in the 80s and 90s, and we sort of incorporated that a lot into our act, and then went from there. I sort of went away from magic after that for a while.
Oh, okay. So this is right from the start. Then you met Copperfield?
Yeah, I've met him. He would come to town doing his shows every year. Okay. And we used to get tickets for both shows, and then at that time, he was always meeting people after a show. Oh. So we'd go, queue up, and I even have a video of me, I think about 11 or 12 or something like that, in the queue, and he sat there listening to 80s music, signing autographs and things like that. Yeah,
that is so cool. That is so cool.
It was very cool, yeah.
And then later in life, I think one of your biggest influences was probably Sly Dini?
Recently, Sly Dini has been a huge influence.
Okay.
I sort of got back into magic 10 years ago, having moved to London, and I mentioned we'd sort of done a lot of comedy stuff, or almost not quite poking fun at magic, but sort of trying to push magic beyond the bounds of what it traditionally was. Okay. So I had to do a lot of time, spend a lot of time rediscovering the classics in a way. So I went back and did a lot of reading and studying and working on just the basic stuff rather than trying to come up with brand new wacky routines. And Sly Dini was one of those that I recognized that something about the way he approached magic was fundamental to what we're doing. Yeah, I think it's to do, like you said, with timing. It's to do with maybe just his theory about what magic is about. Yeah. I saw a video recently where he was in the mix with Dick Cavett and Siegfried and Roy and Mark Wilson, and they were doing all these huge grand illusions. But he was Sly Dini. Why'd they bring that guy into that context? Dick Cavett was a big fan of him, but right. I mean, he was doing grand illusion, or what the same idea is, close up. I guess that's my theory.
But I think a lot of viewers watching this at home are big Sly Dini fans, and for me too. I love the timing. For me, timing is everything when whether it's comedy or it's magic or whatever it is. And I think you've mastered that, because I recently saw Alec at one of the shows. Now you might have seen the video just before this interview. It's the video that I did, Fiddler's Elbow. This is a little open mic night, and Alec was there. I didn't know you were performing. I went there to just
Your routine was great, by the way. I know
well,
you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, it's something I was working on. It's not a polished act, and I think I felt bad when he announced it. Like, oh, we've got Magician of the Year. I'm like, oh, don't say that because I'm not doing anything that I did in the competition.
Yeah.
I was just doing some random stuff that I'm trying to get back into, which is the bar flaring, and you might have seen that in the video too. But I think you blew me away. Thank you. But it's all about you, this one, because your timing with the paper balls over the head, it's a classic routine, but what you've done with that is incredible. But you've worked with it for a while now. You said you do it on the streets and stuff. So
I would say about that, it's really hard routine. When you see a lot of people do balls over the head.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much always going to work, and it's pretty much always going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite, at least, and I'm not there yet. I have to say I'm not an expert at this yet, but I have spent some time doing it, and I'm trying to do almost exactly the slidini routine. I always want to try to figure out my own way of presenting it, but I think that routine is so much. You're right. It is about the timing, and it's about creating those moments, and I don't always get it right. I was mentioning to you earlier that one of the biggest things that routine has taught me is I don't have it perfect yet at all. But I've become a lot better at doing this, where you create that moment where you're going to do the move, right? But then you sort of just, a lot of people rush through it because we feel so guilty, and that applies to all of the sleight of hand that we do. So what this routine in particular has taught me to do, at least with this routine, is to take that breath, or to try to take that breath and try to work on that moment and just have confidence that it's going to work. And I'm sitting here mimicking the thing because I've done this 1,000 times.
Exactly.
Working the routine on I've been working on a street show. I've been doing that on the street, so that's really good for the repetition. And
flight time.
Flight time. The one thing I will say about that particular thing that Slidini does is, I can't remember the name of the guy. We'll have to look it up, and maybe you can put it as a reference. I saw the Essential Magic Conference. It was a guy from California did a lecture on Slidini's.
Michael Weber, maybe? No.
Who, sorry?
I was thinking Michael Weber? No.
No, it wasn't Michael Weber.
California.
I'll send you the name so you can reference it. But he sort of did an analysis of Slidini and his misdirection. Which is very subtle. So there was always you have to look at his lecture, but this really inspired me a little bit, because there's always with Slidini, there's a moment here where the activity's happening where he's looking at you. It might not be this exaggerated. And then there's this cross moment. Right. And it can be very subtle, and the paper ball is it's literally him looking down here and then going like that. It's not big. But it's similar to the cross in the gaze idea with Tamariz, where the move happens as the gaze crosses to where the activity is going to happen. So that's when actually the ball gets thrown. It's this action here like that. But that takes so much to get, because you're not looking at the person. You don't know if they're going to follow that gaze or if they're going to. Anyway, it gets very complicated.
But I think, well, sorry, thank you for that, because that was just wonderful. There's a lot of gold in what you said earlier, and I think if you haven't seen the video already, go back, watch the last video, and you will see what I'm talking about. The timing, it's just so perfect. Every single bit. I was sitting and filming this in the bar. And every time you did the move, I was like, "Oh, that's just perfect. That's the right timing." I had a smile on my face. Obviously, you couldn't see because I was filming him, but that's incredible. And I did want to get you. So thank you for coming on this channel and talking about that timing and how you spent learning that kind of a routine. Now, if people want to see you, where could they see you? Where could they? Do you have a website? Do you perform a lot? Or?
So I have to say, like I told you earlier, I do have a website, my AlecTheMagician.com. And I just have to say that that's not what I want to put out to the world, really. I am working on a concept that is a bit strange, is a bit unique, and you'll see it in the video if you see any of the introductions. I'm the vegan magician. Right. And I always tell people I know it doesn't make any sense. I say it's sort of like having a gluten-free bathroom, it's a non sequitur, right? So what is it about? It's a concept I have to sort of sell people on. But in a way, it's sort of like if you're a Christian magician, there's such a thing as Christian magicians, It's your church or something like that. Well, you might want to hire a magician, and why not hire a church magician? Well, I am a vegan, so I am one of those crazy people. And very interested in you know, making my choices matter in the world, and you know, having an effect on things by just the choices I take. And there are companies and organizations out there who I presume have that same philosophy. So I'm putting together a whole package of the vegan magician.
Yeah, that's what you want people to know you as.
That's what I want people to know me as. But I do perform a number of multiple open mics in and around London.
Okay.
I've been involved with the Illusioneer shows in South London. This is put on by the Illusioneer, Barry Westwall.
Okay, I don't know anything about this, so this should be interesting for me to do another vlog or an interview about that whole as a different subject.
Yeah, well, that's where I've got most of my flight time.
Okay.
Performing over the past 5 or 6 years with 3 or 4 other magicians every month, and we put on a little show in South London.
And you said you'll come back to that story, the funny story that happened.
Oh, I was just going to say that I met my friend performing in church. The reason was, you know, we're sitting in a very silent, solemn church service in the South, in the U.S. When you meet people, they don't necessarily ask you where you work. One of the first questions they'll ask you is, what church do you go to?
Yes.
Not do you go to church, but which church do you go to?
Yeah.
So I grew up in that sort of milieu, and we were sitting in a nice silent church service, you know, very solemn, and preaching and praying, and of course I was practicing coin magic, you know, and there were hard floors in there, so every once in a while I would drop the coins, you know, the coins would go rolling or whatever. And but I was in the habit of doing that, and we had moved to this new church, and so I was doing that there as well. And then I heard, you know, back behind me, somebody was doing the same thing every Sunday, you know, so a similar sort of thing going on. And I didn't know who it was, and finally we both figured out we were doing the same thing. And
right.
It's
Okay.
not that funny a story, but
that's great.
Sort of
doing it in church and then meeting that way is wonderful. Yeah. I like that. That's great. And then you've been doing gigs together after that.
Right. Yeah. Then we developed a show together as we were teenagers. We even put a whole TV special on that a friend of ours had sort of an in to the local TV network, and so. Had a lot of experience doing videos back in the day, but they're all really bad quality old videos.
Right.
Because it's old technology.
Yeah, I know. That's why I started this lately.
Yeah.
But anyways,
nice.
You are a wonderful magician, and if you ever get a chance, watch Alec in London or wherever he is. You know, follow him on Instagram, or we'll put the social media links below.
On the social media, I'm Vegan Magician.
Vegan Magician
on Instagram.
We'll leave all that links below. Definitely check him out because he's so good, and I want you to experience this. So thank you for coming and doing
Brendan.
this little chat with me. I want to thank Paul again for filming. And before we go, Nathan Earl wants to tell you something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Oh, that's because of the mirror.
Yeah, yes, I've heard of refraction.
Okay. Are you in frame?
Infinity.
Okay.
I don't know that. Am I?
Hello. Don't forget to like. Very, very important thing to do. To like, to comment, and subscribe.